today's about the Heavenly Palace and the $10 million telescope. Now you're probably thinking, what's the Heavenly Palace? Well, it turns out that's the name of China's space station. Something that has featured on this channel many times and is going to feature again. We're going to look at this clip. It's about 2 minutes long. I'm not going to stop it. I'm just going to let it play through its entirety. We're going to see the Earth sort of morph its shape, nowhere near as bad as last time. But that's not what I'm going to point out here. Obviously the footage looks ridiculous anyway, because it always does. One, you're dealing with something, or these people are trying to sell you the lie of something, i.e. a globe, which we all know scientifically impossible. So already we know it's tosh. And then when we watch it, well, we're not disappointed. Of course it's tosh. But we're going to see the Earth morph a little bit here. But I want you to pay particular attention to the sun. And the fact, despite this thing doing 17,000 miles an hour around a ball, the sun doesn't move whatsoever, despite the orientation of this space station around this globe Earth, as we're about to see. So keep an eye out for the shape of the Earth, and also take note of the fact the sun doesn't move in relation to the spacecraft. So let's have a look. A bit like an egg there. How much further? I'm just going to speed it up a bit and get somewhere near the end. Lovely bit of piano there to convince me of absurdities like the globe. Never going to happen. But what I'm going to do now is blend an image I took at the start of this video to an image pretty much now right near the end. And you're going to see the sun hasn't moved one bit. It's a little bit brighter in one of the images, but its position in relation to the craft haven't moved or changed whatsoever. But when you see the space station's position in relation to this scientifically impossible globe, you're going to see that's impossible. Bear with me. Now this is where I blended an image from the start to an image at the end. Footage is over 2 minutes long. Spacecraft stroke station is supposedly doing over 17,000 miles an hour. But as we can see, the sun doesn't change its position whatsoever. No doubt some deluded troll will claim that is a spotlight. Well, that would need to be some incredible spotlight to light up the whole of the globe Earth. And yes, there are some things underneath it, but they're on either side, and they're not a spotlight. So as we can see, the light source here, when I've taken an image at the start and blended it with an image at the end of the Chinese footage, it shows the sun hasn't changed whatsoever in relation to the spacecraft. But what makes it really damning, of course, is the spacecraft's relation stroke orientation to the globe Earth. That would be impossible to have the sun be in exactly the same position when the craft has changed its orientation massively and travelled a great distance in the 2 minutes we were watching the footage while it was doing supposedly 17,000 miles an hour. Ridiculous. The footage looked ridiculous anyway. We know the globe's impossible. But when you look at it, they have to be telling us, they have to be joking and mocking the people who defend this, who are getting very touchy, I may add, regarding the space pantomime bashing that goes on at this channel. But hey, if you're going to defend absurdities, then I'm going to continue to bash this nonsense. In this instance, the sun just doesn't move. We know it's all tosh, different props, different technology, different techniques used, whether it be cables and harnesses, CGI, overlays, space props. Many different techniques these people use to get naive people to believe in absurdities. And the cost for this tosh is off the charts. It's ridiculous. Now we're going to go to something even more ridiculous. This James Webb Telescope's first color image photography that has come back. $10 billion this space telescope cost. And this is what everyone's singing and dancing about today. This historic day, its first color image has come back, showing all these galaxies. And look. And then we zoom out and we come to this shot, the money shot. Same old tosh we saw with Hubble. We know any real observations of the sky are done via aircraft that have telescopes in them, Sophia being one of them. But this tosh is just computer generated imagery, CGI, to get people, again, to go along with the fantasy. It walks hand in hand with all the other tosh that we're told. No one doubts the lights in the sky. But paying $10 million to have a space telescope in an environment that's scientifically impossible, you're already talking about a fraud. And then you get the imagery back. It's a joke. It's actually mockery. Now, it would be funny, and I do laugh at space, because it's the only way to treat it, is to mock it and laugh at it. But this is costing billions and billions, and will continue to cost many more millions and millions for as long as people allow this charade to continue. Remember, millions and millions are suffering, and will continue to do so for as long as we accept this globe bullshit and this space propaganda pantomime that is force-fed and lapped up by naive globe believers. Needs to end. It's silly. Millions and millions for this tosh. A sun that doesn't move with China's space station. And that's tame compared to what they've shown us and what I've shown on this channel. But come on. This is silly, guys. You really need, if you're still believing and defending this tosh with no demonstrable science whatsoever for the globe, the only thing that can be cited is space pantomime and CGI at a cost of millions or billions and billions. It's ridiculous. And think of the amount of suffering that goes on as a result of entertaining, supporting, going along with this tosh. And don't even get me started on the globe being taught to kids at school, baffling them, bewildering them, I should say, by telling them reality is exactly the opposite to what can be tested and verified by all, putting kids out of whack straight away, and then building them back up with a false confidence through regurgitation of absurdities. Needs to end. Rapid.